as the buyer. So this recording, this will be recorded for everybody. We'll have it available on our campus store website, so you can view it at any time, or if you have people in your department as well to view that. With all that being said, Cole, go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah. Everyone, as Sarah mentioned, my name is Cole Benson. I'm the partnerships manager here at CLC, working with St. Thomas. I primarily work with a Midwest-based territory. I'm actually down in Iowa City, Iowa right now, but was based in Indianapolis when we were headquartered there for a few years. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and pull our presentation up. And really, I know there's just a few of us here, so just so I'm not talking at everyone the whole time, I want this to be as interactive as possible. Feel free to stop me at any point if you have questions. There will be a time for questions at the end as well, but just, go ahead and unmute yourself if there's anything you want to say or ask, and I am happy to get into any questions you may have. So really what this meeting is just a licensing 101 and the role of, some general information on licensing and what the role of on-campus buyers is with the creation of this licensing program. How do we get licensed product? Who do we get it from, and what's the process? So we're going to go through all of that. And really to start, I'm just going to touch base on who we are. So we at CLC are a part of the Learfield family. As you can see here, Learfield is heavily involved in collegiate athletics and campuses across the country. We are the licensing wing. CLC was founded in 1981 by Bill Battle, creating the first licensing program with the University of Alabama. And since then, we have grown to have over 450 institutional partners we work with, and working with over 4,000 licensees. So really perfecting how we can help schools manage their licensing program, all the way from an NAIA school, St. Thomas, North Carolina, Syracuse, and bigger schools than that, which are across the board and are happy to help anyone with that. So the main question, what is licensing? To define licensing, there are 3 P's that we use: protection, promotion, and profit. Universities and institutions put a lot of time, energy, and resources into developing their brand, making it look great and getting it out there. They want it to be seen. So because of that, they need to protect it and help manage use of those marks and get it out in the way that they want to see. So having a licensing program is one way to help manage and determine who can use your brand, where they can use it, what they can use it on, and ensure that they're not being stolen by anyone else or using it in any improper ways. So promoting it, again, talking about getting your brand out there in a way you want to be seen and utilized in the public eye. Because anytime someone interacts with your brand, even if you're walking through the airport in Minneapolis there and they've got a St. Thomas on the shirt, you want that to look right. And someone goes, hey, go Tommies. If it looks off, that could be a bad interaction. So you just want to make sure it's always seen in a positive light and out there the way school wants to be with their brand guidelines. And then a profit. So school puts a lot of time and energy, again, as I said, into their brand. It's an asset of the university and used to generate revenue for the school. All right, so I'm still admitting a few people here. All right, so what is the school's IPs? You can see here, a work or invention that is the result of creativity. This includes anything that is a logo, the school's name, or anything that creates confusion of association with the university. The school has a brand guidelines to determine, show you the the do's and do nots with the brand that is actually housed on the university bookstore website. So we've got a link here. This will be shared after the meeting, so you'll have access to see the school's guidelines as well. What you're seeing here in this image is actually an example of the art sheet we have on our website for licensees to access. So licensees have access to all of the school's approved artwork, and I'll get into more of that later. But we do have a place where anyone who is a licensee of St. Thomas can go and utilize all of the EPS files of the school, so that way you won't have to worry about going into Google Images and downloading a JPEG that'll look really bad once they put it on whatever item it is you're looking to buy. So a few key terms here. We've got our licensor. These are universities who are granting a license to the vendors. You can see I mentioned Syracuse, North Carolina. St. Thomas is a licensor. They're the ones who oversee the brand and make sure everything goes through the system accordingly, meets all their guidelines, and looks right on the brand standards. The next is the licensee, and these are the people who are producing the product. People who hold the licenses are going to be those who embellish the goods or actually put the school's brand, logo, identity on an item, whatever that item may be. So you can see here your L2 brands, Champion, Nike, those that you're familiar with. On the internal buying side, you get 4imprint, custom ink, anyone like that. And as I mentioned, we currently work with over 4,000 licensees. So mostly anyone you're working with is going to know about the licensing process already. Of course, if there are any questions, feel free to direct them to us. And happy to work with any licensees to get them set up who may not already be. So for the licensees, what do they have to do? There are two types of license, an internal and a retail. I'm going to start with retail license, and that would be anyone selling directly to consumers. So if they are selling to Sarah at the bookstore, selling on their website, or maybe selling into the local Scheels or Walmart. Those are retail licensees, and they submit all of their information through CLC's portal, and retail sales are royalty bearing. So anyone who's selling those goods owe a royalty to the university. We collect that on a quarterly basis and pay that back out to the school. The other is internal, and internal can be defined as university purchases with campus dollars for internal consumption. So if your department is buying shirts for staff, a giveaway for students, pens, knickknacks, anything like that, those are internal university purchases, and those are royalty exempt. And that is determined in the system as the licensee reports. So we're able to determine all of that in the back end of the system as they report their sales. One thing to note is a fundraiser. If you're buying items to resell, that would fall under the retail license. So I'm going to pause there. I'm going to jump into the process next and what it looks like for a licensee to get set up. Any questions at this point? All right. I must be doing a great job then. Thanks. So the licensing process, what does that look like? So there are two ways this is determined on how to begin is if a vendor you're looking to use is already licensed with another CLC institution, or if they are a brand new licensee for the first time. I'm going to start there with someone who may be a brand new licensee. We'll say there's a local mom and pop or vendor close to St. Thomas you're using who hasn't gone through the process before. So what they would need to do is submit an application on our website, clc.com, and feel free to connect them with Sarah or I, and we can walk them through that process. How's the application? And throughout the application process, we get information like a marketing plan, where they intend to sell to, proof of insurance. We want to make sure that they're properly qualified to meet the standards the school has set forth to meet or be a part of their licensing program. So minimum liability insurance is $1 million. If we get a high risk product like a consumable, Zippo lighter, for example, different things like that, it goes up to 2 million and higher. So making sure that they have those insurance. There is an application fee, a one-time fee of $250 for them to apply. And so once a vendor becomes approved then and goes through that process, their contract operates on a yearly basis. So we renew those yearly. And so once they're plugged in, they have access to all of that artwork that I mentioned. So they go ahead and download all those EPS files of the artwork. And then before anything is produced, they have to submit that artwork to the school for review. So that is done through the Brand Manager 360 portal. They submit that into the system. It goes directly to Sarah and team for review. And then they have a chance to make sure that it meets the guidelines, the school's brand standards, and then approve it or request any changes that are needed. Once that's approved, the vendor is able to begin production of their item and deliver it to you, the end buyer. On a monthly basis, those licensees submit those sales into the Brand Manager portal. We can collect that data of what's all being done with the university brand, dollars wise, sales wise, all of that. Based on how they report, the system will determine if those sales are royalty bearing or not. If they are royalty bearing, they will have to pay those on a quarterly basis and we'll collect that. If they're not, the system will register that no royalties will be owed. We're just collecting the sales data at that point. And then as mentioned, on a quarterly basis, we're paying out all owed royalties to the university. Now, for someone who is already licensed with CLC, the process is much quicker. They have access to Brand Manager already, and all they have to do is go in and submit a request to add the license for St. Thomas. From the time they submit that request to the time it gets to school is typically going to be 24 to 48 hours. It takes our team time to release that and get that to the school. Once approved, they can begin downloading, submitting artwork right away, just as somebody who applied would. So those are the two different processes. And if you ever have questions about somebody you want to use to buy, please don't hesitate to reach out. If they need to get set up, we are more than happy to walk them through that process. So what is your role as the buyer throughout this? So 3 main points. So make sure your vendor you've chosen is licensed. Work with the vendor to design the product. They'll submit it and get everything in, but work with them to make sure it's what you want, what you're looking for, And then once everything's signed off, boom, place your order. So how do I make sure that a vendor is licensed? There is a list of preferred vendors housed. I'm going to go back here. It's in my notes on this one. It's on the purchasing website is where a list of vendors is housed. And then I will work with the team as the list continues to develop, grow, and update. People add the license, maybe others don't carry it anymore. We'll get updated lists to the school. And if there's somebody we want to work with that you don't see on the list, again, that doesn't mean you can't. We would just have to walk them through the process and get them set up. So please don't hesitate. Put us in touch with anyone or reach out and we can work with any vendors you're looking to use. As it's a new program, if you're working with someone, odds are they've probably got a license somewhere else. But if not, happy to help get them set up, whatever is needed. So that is a very high level overview. I didn't think I'd get through this in 10 minutes, but we did. So any questions for me on, licensing, buying from licensed vendors, or getting your product that you need? And I will quit sharing here. And as Sarah mentioned, we'll share a copy of this deck and recording after the meeting. All right, there's only a couple of us. I can call you out. Michelle, Kyle, any questions for me? Lori, come on. I know I got one.
Who polices all the licensing?
Sorry, what was that?
Who polices the licensing?
Yeah, sure. So polices them. In what way do you mean? Making sure they're using the correct logos, submitting correctly, reporting the right sales numbers, anything in particular with that?
Using the right logo.
Yeah, absolutely. So the licensees, when they sign their contract, get set up, agree to having to download all of the official artwork and submitting anything into the system for approval before being produced. They agree that if they don't do that, they're in violation or a breach of their contract and risk losing their license. So, we're not actively, out searching them and making sure everything they, watching everything they do, it's on the honor system for them to report correctly. But if they're doing something that isn't coming through, odds are it's going to be found. Sarah and team, see a lot of the internal purchases going on. Licensees are actually the best reporters of infringing product. If they see someone doing something the wrong way, they will reach out and tell us. And then as things pop up, Facebook, wherever, infringement does get reported. So we're not actively out making sure they're not doing anything illegal, like, hey, have you done any other orders that you're submitting? But odds are if something's going through, it'll be caught that they aren't doing it because it'll probably may not meet the brand guidelines. And that's great. Biggest thing with that that's really helpful is just working with purchasing, making sure that, and as I mentioned, they've got the licensee list on the site. So licensees, they know who the licensees are. So, no orders are going to be placed with an unlicensed vendor. And it's just not in the interest of the vendors to not do something the right way and submit the artwork, especially these where, it's not royalty bearing sales. So they just need to make sure they get their artwork correct and submit those sales. So it's just on them to be a good partner. But if something isn't done the right way, odds are we'll catch that through the team on the ground and just what we see coming through. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Yep, it does. Thank you.
Absolutely.
The other thing too I want to mention with that is I've had several people reach out to me inquiring about Facebook posts they've seen by certain companies or products that they've seen out there. And if you ever have any questions on that, you can certainly reach out to me, send me like a screenshot or something, and I can dive into that and research it. I'm happy to look into it, and I can report infringements as well if we're seeing something that's not to our standards.
Yep, we do have 7 staff attorneys who work to follow up on cease and desist, takedowns, and it doesn't have to go that far either. If it is maybe someone local and they just don't know the process, what needs to be done, the team on campus can reach out. I can reach out, take a much more soft-handed approach, say, hey, you didn't know what needed to be done. Here's the process. Either quit doing this, or let's have a conversation and get you set up to do things the right way as well. So it's not always going to be that heavy-handed C&D. There are a lot of people, students on campus, new people coming in, so much turnover that they just may not always know the right way to do that. So that's where these educational sessions come in very handy. Just let everyone know what needs to be done, how they can get things sourced the right way. And then from there, excuse me, I still have a little bit of a cough hanging over, but yeah, I can just have a conversation and just be as straightforward as that. All right,
All right. I think
Perfect.
that's it for the questions. Yeah.
great. Awesome. Well, if you're like me, you'll think of something after the fact, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us. My email is cole.benson@clc.com. Obviously, you can reach out to Sarah with any questions. Sarah and Sue, they can connect with me as well. So I appreciate your time, everyone, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, bye, everyone.